Welcome to Tiger Tally. I'm Meredith Brito. Over the weekend, Auburn freshman Austin Wiley scored a career-high 25 points in the team's win over TCU. Wiley also had 7 rebounds in the game. Last week, Wiley was named SEC Freshman of the Week after having a huge game against Alabama. With his help and several other players, Auburn defeated TCU 88-80. Auburn is now 3-0 against the Big 12 Conference this season. That was one of 10 games played in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. This year, the challenge ended in a 5-5 tie. The SEC looked to grab a 6-4 victory out of the challenge in a close game between Kansas and Kentucky. However, the Jayhawks came from behind to get the victory, which is only Kentucky's 3rd loss at home in over 2 years. The women's basketball team picked up a 66-55 victory over Alabama after losing 2 straight SEC games. Janiah McKay recorded 26 points and Katie Firking had 20 points in the Tigers' victory. Auburn maintains a winning conference record at 5-3. Auburn will be at home for a match with Mississippi State on Thursday and then will be back on the road for the next 2 games. The number 15 Auburn women's tennis team punched its ticket to the ITA National Women's Team Indoor Championships. The team defeated Fresno State 4-0 and got a 4-1 victory over number 18 USC. The National Indoor Championships will be held February 10th through 12th in New Haven, Connecticut. This weekend, we saw the top NFL players play in the Pro Bowl, but there was another game going on honoring the top college football seniors just 3 hours south of Auburn.
The Reese's Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, Cleveland Browns coaching the South team and John Fox of the Chicago Bears on the North team. Josh Dobbs for the South passed for over 100 yards and had 1 interception. The South had 5 total turnovers in the game, allowing the North to score 12 points off of those turnovers. The North would end the game with 15 total points, while the South would score 16 to win the game. The MVP of the game, California quarterback Davis Webb. He passed for 165 yards and had 1 passing touchdown. It was a day to honor some of the nation's top NFL prospects, including 3 Auburn football players, Montravius Adams, Jonathan Ford, and Robert Leff.
From Auburn, Montravius Adams and Robert Leff.
Ford would not play in the game because of an injury. Adams, the defensive tackle from Auburn, had 6 total tackles.
I feel like the game actually went real good for me. Really, I was just happy to get the opportunity to go out there and play, showcase some of my talents. Happy to wear my Auburn helmet for the last time. That really means a lot to me, to be out there with Robert Leff, and it really is just a blessing.
Adams was also grateful for the time he had spent at Auburn.
I had a great time because, it made me who I am right now, so really it made me a better man, better ball player and a better person.
Leff, the offensive tackle from Auburn, also saw playing time.
It was a blur getting here, trying to memorize the playbook, switch to a new style of offense, everything, but I enjoyed it, and I think it definitely helped me out in the long run.
In Mobile, Casey Cooper, Eagle Eye Sports.
From now until draft day, which is April 27th through the 29th, players will be doing all they can to get into the NFL. Just to note, the NFL Combine begins on February 28th. We will continue to keep you covered on the latest NFL draft news. Coming up next, 2 athletes dominate their respective sports. What they are continuing to accomplish has some arguing they are the greatest to ever play. All that and more coming up on Tiger Tally on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I was born, and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
LeBron James has set another record to add to his resume. He is the first ever Cavalier to ever reach 20,000 points. It all came in Sunday's win against Oklahoma City when James scored a layup with about 9 minutes remaining in the second quarter. James now has over 20,000 points in 10 seasons with the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are only the 16th NBA franchise to have a 20,000-point scorer. Roger Federer also made headlines this week. He beat Rafael Nadal in the Australian Open in a 5-set thriller to get his 18th Grand Slam. Federer had not won a Grand Slam singles title since Wimbledon in 2012. However, with this win, the 25-year-old Federer now has 4 more Grand Slams than Nadal, leaving some to think he will sit alone with his 18 Grand Slams. The NFL held its Pro Bowl Sunday night for a matchup between the best players in the AFC versus the best in the NFC. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce had 36 yards and 1 touchdown, naming him one of the MVPs of the game. And Bills linebacker Lorenz Alexander was the other MVP with 8 tackles and 2 passes defended. The AFC won the game 20-13. And just a reminder, the NFL season will come to a close next Sunday, February 5th, when the Atlanta Falcons take on the New England Patriots. The game will feature 2 MVP candidates in Tom Brady and Matt Ryan, going up against each other for all the marbles. It all begins Sunday at 5:30 Central. It was just announced today that the MLB stripped the St. Louis Cardinals their first 2 picks in the 2017 draft. They also fined the Cardinals $2 million. The money and picks were given to the Houston Astros as a result of the Cardinals hacking scandal. Coming up next, I will be joined by Wynton Hurd to talk the latest in the Chicago Bulls, NFL draft prospects, and a National Signing Day preview. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tiger Tally. I'm Meredith Brito, joined now with Wynton Hurd. Austin Wiley has been pretty big lately, scoring 25 points and 7 rebounds against TCU the other night, and 19 points and 9 rebounds last week against Alabama. He's recently been named SEC Freshman of the Week. What does this mean for the team, and what does it say about the future of Auburn basketball?
Well, in my opinion, it's a huge step for the basketball team. I think Austin Wiley can be as good as he wants to be. You look at his statistics here, he's 6'11", he's 255 pounds, 18-year-old freshman, enrolled early. He's averaging 4.7 rebounds per game, averaging about 8.6 points per game. I feel like if Austin Wiley continues to put in the work and does what Bruce Pearl asks of him, I don't see the sky's the limit for this kid.
I couldn't agree more, especially the fact that he's the newest player to the team and he's already made these huge strides. Like, it just kind of shows the fact that Bruce Pearl's making some magic with this team, and these players keep getting better and better. I think it says a lot about the potential going forward.
Right.
So now on to the Chicago Bulls. First, Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler questioned the commitment of their teammates. Then Rajon Rondo spoke his mind. Wade and Rondo were benched against the Miami Heat, and the team also had a 75-minute meeting with the head coach, GM, and vice president. Do you think they can move past this, or do you think they'll have to go separate ways?
Well, I think the Bulls should be able to move past this. You got guys in there, more than at least 5 guys who have veteran leadership: Dwayne Wade, Taj Gibson, and Jimmy Butler, who used to be a young star, is now turning into a veteran of that team, and it still is his team. The only problem I find with the Chicago Bulls situation is that this guy outside of the locker room. I think Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler should have got the team together. They should discuss this as a team and kept it within the locker room. They shouldn't have brought it out to the media, because once things get in the media, then the media can flip things, and then it just creates a distraction around your team. Now, as far as Rondo posting the picture on Instagram with him and Paul Pierce and KG, I felt like that was wrong by taking it to social media, because even more can be spilled, add fuel to the fire with that. And if you have a problem with your vets, you let the vets know. And you guys, even if it takes having a players-only meeting, you discuss it then. Because if you look at the Bulls right now, they're really underachieving, 9-14 on the road. They're 7-16 against Eastern Conference opponents, and they're sitting at 7th in the Eastern Conference, and they're 24-25 on the season. So I feel like most of it is frustration because they're not as good as they thought they would be going into the season.
I couldn't agree more. And also the fact that, I think it's wrong that Dwayne Wade went out and spoke in the media about how his players don't care after they lose. But, you're playing professional basketball for a living. You should care if you lose. This is something that people dream of doing. And, you want to win everything you play. So what's wrong with them when they, aren't disappointed about losing? Like, what do you think's going on there?
Well, also, it's your preparation as well. It's also about your mindset, how much you're actually putting into it, when the cameras aren't on at practice. Are you getting there on time? Are you the last guy in the gym? Are you kind of lollygagging in there? Even Greg Popovich said one time after a tough loss at Chicago, he said, you shouldn't have to pay guys to do their job. Your job is to play basketball. So just like the coach has to show up and expect to do a job, the players are held to the same standards. You should come every night ready to perform and do your job. You're getting paid to play basketball.
I couldn't agree more. The NFL draft will be coming up before we know it. Over the weekend, the Senior Bowl was held. We had two players from Auburn, Montravius Adams and Robert Left. How do you think Adams and Left will fare in the draft?
Right now, I figure Montravius Adams at the least will be a third-round draft pick. His 40 time was about a 5.15. And that's pretty good moving for a defensive tackle. I think Montravius can be, like I said, as good as he wants to be as well. If I were him, I would work on, more of my agility, speed-wise. But as long as he gets the right group of people around him, gets the right agent around him, and, takes him through this process correctly, then I feel like he should have no problems going through the draft. With Robert Liff also playing offensive tackle, he also had an impressive 40 time of 5.14. Was rated 30 out of 129 offensive tackles in the draft. And I feel like he should be a second-round draft pick. Both of their stocks should do nothing but increase. Like I said, as long as they hire the right agents, keep the right group of people around them, and keep their head on straight, they should be good through this process.
Where do you think Robert Leff will fall in the draft?
Probably, I got him second round, no higher than 10th pick.
Okay, so we think that they're going to do pretty well in the draft this year. Do you have any early draft predictions other than that? Like, do you think Carl Lawson's going to do well?
Yes, actually, I was very impressed. I watched Carl Lawson throughout the season, and like I said, big guys. The only thing they have to do is continue to take care of their bodies, encourage them to stay in the weight room, continue to get after it, work on that speed and agility. A coach is never going to go wrong by looking at your speed and agility. With NFL, guys are looking for guys that are versatile because, most of these linebackers and offensive linemen are running 4.5s, 4.7s, so they're keeping up with skilled player guys. So for them, it's just a matter of, taking care of your bodies, doing the things that's necessary to transform from a college athlete to a professional athlete, because this just came from not only being a part-time job, it's now a full-time job. Exactly.
Where do you think Carl will fall in the draft?
Believe it or not, I got Carl Lawson being a first-round draft pick.
So do I.
Guy's a monster in the middle. He's getting after it, he's making tackles, he's getting his head on the football. And it's like I said, Carl just stays focused and does what he needs to do. He should be all right in my book.
Coming up next, we also have National Signing Day. What signing class rank do you have Auburn getting this year?
Auburn kind of slipped this year in the draft class. Most recently, I saw they were number 10 in the recent draft. And I think most importantly, what Auburn needs to focus on as far as the recruiting process is that Auburn has had a reputation of lacking in the defensive back area and receiving core. I feel like most importantly, Auburn has to find their identity. I figure that's a lot of things people don't look at, is that Auburn has great personnel and great coaches, but finding out how to actually use that potential and use that talent is what separates a lot of teams. And I feel like the new offensive coordinator that we brought in, I'm not sure what kind of offensive scheme that he's running, but in order for offense to run the way you want it to run, the offensive coordinator and the quarterback have to be on the same page. You got one guy who's actually calling the plays and one who's got to go out and execute the plays. So I feel like if we get that situated and then we get ourselves structured in the defensive back and not give up so many points, and we also got to turn field goals into touchdowns. That was a huge downfall this season. I saw way too many field goals being kicked. But kudos to Daniel Carlson. He probably should get the MVP in my book for offensive player this year. But in all seriousness, we do need to try to, get a method that creates more touchdowns and less field goals.
I think that was a huge problem for us this year. I think despite maybe not having one of the best recruiting classes, top 10's not bad, but I think Jared Stidham and possibly having a new offensive coordinator, I think our offense will be able to score more touchdowns this year. But we'll just have to see going into next year. We will keep you updated on any commitments to the Auburn football team. It will be interesting to see how Wednesday will go. Well, that's all we have for you tonight, but we will be back next week with all the new topics to discuss. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.